Hello, welcome to the deep dive. It is the preview of Liverpool versus Arsenal. First plays second. I'm joined by Josh Williams for this one. It's always such an interesting deep dive when we play someone like a Manchester City or an Arsenal. I think it's fair to say right now that maybe Arsenal with us are we're the two best sides in the league. And therefore it should be an interesting tactical battle between Klopp and Arteta. We've seen Arteta lose his head at times when he's come to Anfield, even when he's trying desperately not to. It's going to be very, very interesting. What has impressed you the most about Arsenal this season?
So this week I've obviously delved into them a bit deeper than I normally would, because Liverpool obviously facing them, and I must say I'm impressed, specifically on the defensive side. They can defend, and that is an understatement. I think they've probably, I'm pretty confident that they've got the best defence in England, and I think they've arguably got the best defence in Europe. And we've got the numbers to show that, but I think for that reason mainly, I actually think, having looked at them this season, I think they're the best team in the league at the minute. And I think if you finish above Arsenal this season, you probably win the league. And is that a take?
That's a take,
yeah.
That's a take.
Because I think previous seasons it's been City with that, obviously, and it might still be. City is still great, by the way, looking at the numbers, but Arsenal look really, really watertight, and I think Liverpool's attack, obviously, we've come a little bit unstuck lately, looked a bit, what's the word?
Toothless.
Bit disjointed and stuff, yeah. So it's going to be a big test for Liverpool's ability to break down this team. And it's going to be a test for Arsenal as well to bring this defence to a ground where they've historically crumbled a little bit, maybe, in terms of the mental side. So, yeah, interesting one.
Okay. Got some visitors for us to talk us through these. You're telling us you've got them, but I want to see them, mate.
So
are we going to go with the difficult to pass through, progressive passes conceded first?
Yeah, so we've got some general metrics here to just kind of capture why Arsenal are a good defensive side. And I think we'll start with a really basic one in the difficult to pass through, which is fairly easy to explain in terms of progressive passes conceded per match this season. They are the best in the Premier League, even better than Man City, which takes some doing. Pep Guardiola has always been really good at stopping this because of his ability to coach his teams to dominate the ball. Even the great Liverpool sides, when we won the Champions League and the Premier League under Klopp and things, we still never really got particularly close to City in terms of keeping the opposition attack really quiet. And that's what Arsenal are doing quite clearly there. The difficult to pass through.
Them and City are clearly the two outliers on this graphic, aren't they?
Yeah. And Liverpool, a little bit. To be fair, Liverpool have suffered some red cards, so that will be impacted by that. I think Liverpool are probably slightly better than that.
Maybe up near the Brighton, Tottenhams.
Yeah, but interesting nevertheless. And I think if we then move in a little bit further forward, higher up the pitch, and we go towards
the
passes.
Next graphic.
Yeah, if we go towards passes into the penalty box conceded. Again, best in the league. Even better than Man City, which again takes some doing. Liverpool in third for this. So, and that I found interesting, because that one, Arsenal are the best in Europe for that.
Wow.
The fewest passes into the penalty box conceded in the whole of Europe's big five leagues. That's including the likes of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid and, PSG and all them teams. So really difficult to get into the most dangerous areas of the pitch, the most valuable spaces. Arsenal are really good at stopping you from getting into those. Mm-hmm. And then if we go then to a little scatter plot to kind of capture what Arsenal are giving away in terms of chances. On the bottom axis we've got shots faced per match, and on the side axis we've got the expected goals of those shots, I suppose, in terms of XG faced per match. And this is not including penalties.
So what I'm looking at here is City is slightly better at shots faced per 90, but it's only slight. But Arsenal are considerably better when it comes to conceding XG.
Yeah, so City face slightly fewer shots per match than Arsenal do, but City is a slightly more clear cut. So Arsenal, in addition to facing very few shots, when those shots do come, they're not great shots either. Mm-hmm. They're not the easiest to convert and stuff, and that's a difficult balance to get. Arsenal are doing really well in that sense at the minute. Obviously, Sheffield United at the opposite end of the scale, Luton Town, Man United, which is saying something.
I mean, we've just considerably added to that shots faced per 90 average, haven't we, to be fair, with 34 in the last game.
Yeah, that's definitely true, that's worth saying.
They were maybe around about Burnley until we decided to come in and shit all over that stat.
Yeah. Sean Dyche making a bit of a difference for Everton, by the way.
Yeah, form team.
Yeah. And Liverpool, you know, in and around fourth best in the league for that. But Arsenal, what I'm trying to capture with those three visits, all of them three are kind of offering an insight into defensive ability and how difficult you are to pass through, how watertight you are, what chances you give away and all that. Arsenal look great across the board.
What have you got about the goalkeeper then, I was going to ask?
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I think that is what makes Arsenal beatable, maybe. And I think Arsenal are there, Liverpool are there. I think what brings them together is the goalkeepers on the defensive side. So there's quite a difference between Alisson Becker and a David Raya or a Aaron Ramsdale. To such an extent that there's about, I think if you had Alisson in your goal or David Raya in your goal, the difference between both of them is about 6 goals so far at the minute, based on the season so far. Arsenal have conceded about 3.7 goals more than expected. Liverpool have conceded about 3.3 goals less than expected, and that's purely based on top goalkeeping, you know, top shot stopping, and it's not really a surprise, is it? No,
it's not. I was just pulling up the FB ref for the squad goalkeeper on my iPad then when you were talking, Josh, and you can see the top of the pile here. Liverpool's save percentage is 77.8%, and third from bottom, Arsenal's at 64.1%, which is a huge difference, isn't it, really, when you consider it? And, you know, Liverpool's goals against per 90, 0.88, Arsenal's 0.88, exactly the same, from much less shots on goal, Arsenal's, isn't it? And that's I suppose the difference. And I'm just going to see if I can find Alisson's here. His actual, no, it's not got the advanced. That's not the advanced goalkeeping, is it? Oh, we've got advanced goalkeeping over here. I'll see if I can pull that up.
What is it after?
Advanced goalkeeping stats, which I've got here. So post shot XG, Liverpool's is 3.3. And Arsenal's is under by 3.7, yeah, so you can see that there, the difference and the swing in Liverpool's favour. This is a problem for Arsenal, isn't it? And it's, am I right in saying it's a problem of Arteta's own making? Well,
it's an interesting one, because I've said before on a few shows, like, I actually agree with the principle of what he's done. I think if you've got a goalkeeper who is not that great, and I don't think Ramsdale is, I think it makes sense if you're going for a league title to upgrade. But he's up. Has he even upgraded? I think that's the question. I think for me he has. I think David Raya is slightly better, but I don't know if he's better to the level where it's been worth all this stuff, all this media, you know, nonsense and all that. And then it's going to follow him until he wins the league and can kind of say, "I told you." You know what I mean? But I think a goalkeeper is a massive. It's a massive position for you in terms of accumulating points. I think your performance doesn't impact your performance that much, obviously, because it's a goalkeeper, but in terms of your results, has a massive impact on your points tally by the end of the season. So I can see why he's done it, but I don't know if Raya is that much better than Ramsdale, specifically when it comes to shot stopping, at least. Look, they look roughly similar level, and despite Arsenal's defence being that good, you know, which we've just kind of touched on, they've still conceded the same number of goals as Liverpool. And a lot of that comes from the difference between Alisson and Raya.
Yeah, because they're conceding 3.7 more goals than expected.
Yeah.
We're conceding 3.3 goals less than expected. Puts us right on exactly the same, doesn't it? Now that's the defence, and we are going to get into the tactical side of the game as well, of course. But what are they looking like in attack at the moment for you?
So in attack, this is why maybe they're slightly less convincing in terms of, you know, winning a league title. So their attacking numbers, the fourth in the league so far for shots per match, and the quality in terms of how clear cut those shots are, isn't particularly great either. They're about 7th for expected goals per 90. So, in terms of what they're creating and things like that, they're not quite at the fluid best maybe, or at the level of like a Liverpool or a City or, you know, previous years and like that. I think they're just about title winning level, and a lot of that is because the defence is so good. And on top of their kind of what they're creating in attack, which isn't that much, they've also got a striker in there who historically isn't the best finisher. Historically underperforms his expected goals in Gabriel Jesus. So, in addition to not creating that much, you've also got a striker who is maybe also not going to take them, and you're going to need a few, you know, to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, I'm just trying to get up Jesus' shooting numbers over the course of his career, but I already know that they're not great. So since 2017-18 for Man City, this is Premier League only, he's scored 13 goals less than expected. So if you put a striker in there, give him the same shots that Jesus has had, and he finishes to a perfectly average level, he scores 13 goals more than Gabriel Jesus. So that is not a title-winning quality. I think you can probably agree. Maybe we've got similar with Nunes at the minute.
I was just thinking that because we did a show on Redmen Plus earlier on in the week where we actually delved into Darwin's stats, and very similar reading, to be fair, between Jesus and Darwin Nunes in terms of the overall expected goals up and down and all that type of stuff. Then, well, let's talk tactically about the game then, Josh, because I think this is interesting, isn't it? Obviously, we've got it set up on the boards right now, and it's Liverpool in that sort of 4-3-3 formation, but let's just by magic change it to Arsenal, who are playing in red this time. They've been setting up in a 4-3-3 formation as well. Do you want to talk to me how you think Arsenal are going to attack Liverpool for this one?
Yeah, well, it's they're generally similar to Liverpool in the way in which they do things. I think their version of Trent is basically Zinchenko, who tucks in from the left. Ben White tucks over from the right, and forms that back three, and Arsenal kind of attack like this. There's your attacking bank of five.
So this is Zinchenko here. Yeah,
this is Rice.
Yeah, Odegaard.
This is Odegaard. This is Havertz, Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus. It's again, some of the little kind of intricacies about how they've done things again is similar to Liverpool, because sometimes Odegaard is a big player for them. Odegaard is maybe their version of Szoboszlai in terms of if they need help in the build-up, it will be Odegaard who drops deeper. Havertz a bit less so. Zinchenko, similar to Trent, doesn't always do the inverted stuff. Against Brighton, he was doing plenty of the standard full-back stuff. And the way in which Arsenal were getting an extra body in the middle for the build-up was Odegaard, like that, kind of tucking in and becoming an extra body, and Havertz stays a little bit higher. So again, that feels very Liverpool. And in terms of the front line, Jesus, not as good of a finisher, similar to Nunes, so another similarity there, but I think Jesus is a lot better at doing that.
Yeah.
Jesus is a lot more
drop
of a link.
It in.
Yeah.
To this position here.
Yeah, and when he does that, Saka and Martinelli can become wide forwards and get in the goals. Maybe not as much as a Mane and Salah, but they can do that, and they've got that option maybe. I think with Nunes, Liverpool have got that option a bit less because he's just not that great at doing it. So he stays high, stays on the shoulder. Salah's maybe a bit more of a creator this season. The left side, there's still question marks as to what the left side is doing a little bit at the minute for Liverpool, and I think lately there's been talk of like Liverpool missing Jota, Liverpool missing McAllister was a big talking point against Man United. For me, I think the biggest player Liverpool are missing at the minute is probably Robertson, just because of his ability to offer width for Liverpool while also being the third centre back, because he's such a runner that he's never really caught out of position. I think he's a big miss for us at the minute, and I think we're lacking width without him. Arsenal get their width from Saka's. Saka's really comfortable when he's staying out wide and he's engaging in 1v1s. I think he's better than any of Liverpool's forwards at the 1v1 stuff, which allows Arsenal to kind of use the inverted stuff and find them as like a free man. Do you get what I mean? Things like that. But overall, system-wise, it's not that different. And I think, you know, Arsenal were doing this before Liverpool. To be fair to them, I think Liverpool have maybe got a bit of inspiration from watching Arsenal and City thrive last season, and then Liverpool have thought we can do this with Trent.
Okay, well, we've talked a little bit about how they're going to set up. I think we probably all know how Liverpool are going to set up for the most part in this game. So there's something that you've noticed where maybe Arsenal can be got at. What would you say the best way for Liverpool might be to get a goal?
Well, I think it depends on who's going to play for them, because I don't think it's a certainty that Zinchenko's going to play. I think at times they've played other players there. Off the top of my head, maybe Tomiyasu's played there.
Tomiyasu's played well against us as well, actually.
Yeah.
In previous years.
Yeah, I might be missing someone else out there, to be honest. But Zinchenko historically has done really poorly against Salah, and I think he's named Salah as his weakest, as his best opponent. That's obviously our strongest side. We've got Szoboszlai out here as well. Trent can, you know, so if we can cause issues for Zinchenko here. I also think Gabriel, who plays on that side of the defence in terms of two-man pairing, I don't think he's as good as Saliba, and I think he's having a decent season, but I think he's been historically a little bit prone to a random giving away a pen or something like that, you know what I mean? So Liverpool's right up against Arsenal's left is interesting to me, and I think on top of that, just the simple fact that Luton scored 2 very easy set-piece goals a couple of weeks ago, with David Raya really scrambling in his penalty box to deal with them. Liverpool have got strength from that. Liverpool have got deliveries from Szoboszlai, Tsimikas, Trent. We've got Van Dijk in there, Konate, Núñez, you know, people who are really physical and good in the air and stuff. So I think we can cause problems for them in that sense as well. So
now, the interesting thing that I've pulled from that really is that you've named our right, their left as maybe one of the ways that we get at them. You see where I'm going, can't you? But then equally, their left and our right might be their best option.
Well, I think over the years it probably has been, hasn't it? I think over the years it feels like they've used Martinelli a lot more than Saka against us. Would you agree or not?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I think Martinelli generally causes problems for Trent. He is very direct, he's good 1v1. I think when Trent is going to be tucking inside at times, Martinelli will probably just stay here, to be honest. I think he'll trap back at times, but that will be a way. Similar to how Guardiola did it. You know, a couple of weeks ago he just used Doku. Every ball went to Doku and it was just straight. And I think Martinelli's probably got a bit more... do you reckon Martinelli's got more in product than Doku has at the minute? Because I'm
not 100% sure, to be honest with you, because Doku, I think, is getting a lot of talk because he's very flash.
Yeah.
Clearly, a very, very good player. I'm not downplaying this whatsoever, but I wouldn't know where to start with that one, to be honest with you.
Martinelli's 22 at the minute.
Yeah.
And he's got...
This is 2 goals, 2 assists.
He's got 2 goals. Yeah. To be fair, last season I didn't realise he got 15 and 5 assists. That's decent return, that. But I think so far this season I would have expected him to score more than 2 goals for a team that's leading the Premier League, really. And maybe
14 starts as well.
Yeah, maybe that goes back to Arsenal's attack maybe being a little bit... I think they sacrifice a bit in attack, to be honest, to be a little bit better defensively.
Now, the interesting thing, we've mentioned this over the course of a few weeks when we've been doing these shows and looked at Arsenal and stuff like that. Now, when we've been talking about defensive midfielders for Liverpool, I noticed a while ago that actually Jorginho's dropped into some of these big games and Declan Rice has played a little bit further up the pitch, and now in that instance it might be Kai Havertz who would drop out, or previously Xhaka before that. And he's actually weirdly gone with a less defensive midfielder in some of the bigger games. I remember him doing it against Chelsea. I'm pretty certain who else have they played where it surprised me? It might have been Aston Villa, maybe. Did they do it against? Or
I know they did it against City in the Community Shield or Charity Shield or whatever it's called nowadays.
Yeah.
I think Rice and Partey played in there potentially. But yeah, I had actually thought of that. Saying that, I think it would be quite bold for him to start Havertz. But then it depends who can come in for him. Like, I don't, looking at Arsenal's bench at the minute for the last game, Thomas Partey wasn't on the bench, so I'm not sure if he's injured or not. That one's gone over my head if he is.
So I can see against Newcastle here, they obviously lost that game 1-0. They brought Jorginho into the centre with Declan and Kai Havertz. And I'm going to move on and find another one now, another example of that. But I'm pretty certain they might have done it against Manchester City as well. Yeah, look, against Manchester City, Jorginho, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. Now, they won that game and it was at home. It's an interesting quirk, really.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where he's up to injury-wise.
Well, he missed out against Brighton. That's what I mean. I'm just looking at the team that Arsenal picked to face Brighton, and I'm just looking at if Havertz was to come out, who would play in his place that's a bit more defensive. And at the minute, like Thomas Partey went on the bench and Jorginho went on the bench. So that's one to monitor maybe. I don't think it's a serious injury. I think it was something to do with his foot. But Trossard would be, for me, more offensive.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe, similar. I think I'd go with Havertz. So that's one to keep an eye on, I suppose, yeah. But Arsenal have got ways in which they can kind of mix it up. But having said that, I actually think when everyone's fit, I think Liverpool have got a deeper squad. I think Liverpool have got better depth. And I think going into the latter stages of games, Liverpool have more to mix it up and change it. Whereas looking at what Arsenal have got, some decent players in there, but I think Eddie Nketiah and Trossard are probably the first two that you'd think of as, like, you know, these can change the game for me. Whereas with Liverpool, when everyone's fit, at least, you know, you've two immediate bench options are probably Gakpo and Jota.
Well, that was the thing. I was just thinking back to the Manchester United game where I think we all knew that at some point we'd probably see Gomez, we'd probably see Jones, Elliott. And so, actually at the moment, maybe Liverpool's squad suffering from the same sort of thing that Arsenal's are, in that the options to change the game. I mean, we had two goalkeepers on the bench, plus McConnell, plus Bradley.
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, I think, was there against Manchester United. The options weren't actually anywhere near as deep as what they've been in previous games. So a little bit more difficult at the moment for Liverpool going against Arsenal. But one thing I want to talk about, away from the tactics and away from everything else, is Liverpool haven't beaten a historically one of the big six this season. Now, Tottenham, take it away. You know, red cards, all that type of stuff, etc., etc. Draw against Chelsea, draw against Manchester United, draw against Manchester City. That's all the top six. The big six, sorry, not the top six.
Yeah.
We obviously beat Aston Villa, but they're not included in the big six, as it were. Liverpool need a statement win, I think, for the media to take Liverpool's title credentials seriously.
Yeah.
And I do think, all right, Chelsea aren't who they are anymore, and Tottenham, blah, blah, blah. You kind of have to win some of those games against the big six to win a league title.
Yeah, I think one of the positives attached to what you've just said, 3 of the 4 have been away from home. The one that was at home has just happened against Man United. And we deconstructed that earlier in the week, and it was a sticky game. It wasn't a great game, but we did post 34 shots, and I do think sometimes it's just one of them. If one of the shots doesn't go in, so I think I like to think it will be a bit of a different story with those, you know, the top 6 narrative when Liverpool are playing at Anfield. Maybe we can go for a little bit more, but I agree with what you've said in terms of, like, if you're going for a title, especially against this Arsenal team, I think right now Arsenal are better than Liverpool. So the first meeting, it's at home, it's at Anfield. We can leapfrog them with a win. I do think we kind of need to win it, really. I think if we don't, and later in the season... A draw's a better result for them. Yeah, definitely. I think later in the season... To be fair, I think that...
It's not that long, it's February.
No, it's not, it's February, yeah. But I think if by the time February comes around, we've got Chelsea just before that. But by the time February comes around, if at that point we're level with them, you know, we don't have any kind of lead whatsoever, I think we do really well to beat them at the Emirates. I think Anfield will play a big part this weekend. But yeah, I agree with you in terms of, like, I think we probably really need to pick up a win if we've got any intent to go and win this league, really, and get away from them, hopefully by the time February comes around.
Okay, one last question. Score prediction.
I knew you were going to say that. 1-1.
You shithouse. 3-1 to Liverpool Football Club. Arsenal dethroned at the top of the Premier League.
Welcome to the objective.
Shut up! It's a score prediction. You know what I mean? Liverpool are going to win. This is the deep dive, okay.
We don't include feelings on the show.
I can't, not when a score prediction comes in. No, listen, you are right. We shouldn't do it like that, but I can't help myself. I am as partisan a Liverpool fan as you're going to get at the end of the day. I try to look at the team objectively, of course, on this show more than ever before. I think you have done that for both of us. So I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool with the power of Anfield, which you can't measure on fbref.com. So thank you very much for this one. Drop a like on the video. If you're an Arsenal fan and you've enjoyed it, this is what we do. You wish your fan channel was as good. And thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord, and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier status.